What's up, everybody? It's a Saturday. You know what that means. It's time to tag in with your boys, the Hot Tag Podcast. I'm Shake. With me, as always, is my co host, Teddy. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We really appreciate you guys so much. We're really grinding it out, trying to get this done. If you're watching on Twitch, make sure you hit that follow button, man. Follow me on TikTok, all that stuff. Twitter, I'll be posting clips and stuff like that. If you missed the show, you want to see a little clip. Anyway, let's get into this week of wrestling. It was a little boring. We mentioned pre-show, and we didn't want to talk about it too much hopped right into it. But Teddy, my man, how we doing?
I'm here. I'm thriving. I'm feeling it. It's WrestleMania season. Ooh, I get goosebumps every time it's WrestleMania season. I become a straight up addict when it's WrestleMania season, to the point where it's actually pretty bad and quite counterproductive at work. Well, who cares? Yeah, I actually, since we spoke last week, I unsubscribed to all wrestling pages.
Good for you.
I no longer follow any of them because it's just like, I actually feel more free and excited about the actual product. But there has been one downfall to that. Let's just hop right into this.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like the Sami Zayn story is kind of fizzled out a little bit. What do you think, Shake?
Well, I think out of necessity it had to, but I think he's still red hot. Like he's not as hot as he was, but like it's building to a point where he'll get a match, and I still believe to my core it'll be a tag match. But I also believe that he's going to be involved in the finish with Cody Rhodes. In some way, shape, or form, because those two have been going back and forth quite a bit. And Sammy said on Friday that, he's like, he was going to do whatever it took, even if it was the last thing he did, to watch the bloodline fall down. And he said he was going to do that, and he was going to make sure that was going to happen. And I think, like, through all that he's been doing since he left the bloodline, it's going to end with him screwing Roman out of the titles. Because that's the only way I see Cody getting past the bloodline is if he has help. I think Cody can beat Roman, but I don't think Cody can beat the bloodline. If that makes sense. And it should make sense.
It does. I'll touch on that real quick, and then I'm going to go backtrack to what you said earlier. I think KO and Sami will have say in the outcome on Sunday night with Roman and Cody.
Yes.
But I don't want to say he's going to help him win, as in he's going to cost. I don't want to say cost Roman the title. I think they're going to prevent outside interference, which in virtue will cost Roman the title. Can't beat Cody. We don't know. We honestly don't know. I mean, Roman's red hot. I mean, after that promo, I mean, he could carry the titles. Like, we'll get to that promo. But you know what? I think part of the reason I think Sami is still red hot. People are still singing this song. I think why I feel that way is because I've never been that hyped on the Sami train. I've been Team Cody from the beginning. I like Sami, and I think it's a great storyline. And I've been telling people. I tell people all the time, I go, "You guys are being selfish. All you Sami Zayn fans are being selfish. You are crying because Sami Zayn's not going to dethrone Roman, which he has no business doing. He has absolutely no business doing. Sami Zayn's got a main event night one for the tag team titles, setting history. The tag team titles have never been defended in the main event of WrestleMania. Sometimes they don't even make the card.
True.
And now these guys are going to be in the main event of WrestleMania. You know what tag teams have main event to WrestleMania? Well, you know what tag match main event to WrestleMania? WrestleMania 1 with Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. Mm-hmm. They're going to be in great company. The main event spot of WrestleMania is the only one of two tag teams to ever be in the main event of WrestleMania.
And there were no tag titles at that time.
Exactly. So let's give Sami Zayn his flowers there and stop being selfish and trying to say he needs to win the title, because let's be real here. When's the last time Sami won a title on his own merits because he was good without cheating or being some type of he's that heel that I like. A heel that isn't good enough to be the champion, but he just keeps winning and by cheating and doing sneaky things. I love that. Sami Zayn is not a respectable champion at any level. You didn't respect him as the Intercontinental
No.
Champion. You didn't respect him as the NXT Champion because he clearly wasn't better than Kevin Owens at the time, who beat that ass when he did win the NXT title. So I've never been that high on the train, and I think that's why it's fizzled out for me. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Last night I was watching SmackDown Shake, and after I see the meltdown, I'd seen all I wanted to see. I watched SmackDown for two reasons. I watched SmackDown to see if Batista was going to get inducted into the Hall of Fame, which they didn't do it last night. When the hell are they going to pull the trigger on this thing? My God, it's already March.
Yeah.
And then I watched it to see if Gunther would answer Drew's challenge. Then after I seen that, after I realized those two things are done, I started playing Hogwarts Legacy. And I didn't even watch the main event between Solo and Sammy because I just felt like that was just time killer. That just felt like such an irrelevant match. Nothing to do with anything. Like, well, it's just like,
it
I
did.
mean, it's not that it did.
Yeah.
He's facing the bloodline. But he knew what was
going on. Yes, I agree. The same thing that happened on Monday when Solo was in action, right? Solo and Jimmy beat the Street Profits.
Which that.
Listen, I get it, but you're also not gonna have Solo and Jimmy lose there either. Like, that's just, I guess maybe the best defense there is not make it the Street Profits they beat. Right.
Honestly,
Alpha Academy would have been a nice little plug.
That's what it would have been, but I'm guessing you just need, the Street Profits hadn't been on TV since before Elimination Chamber, so I guess
that's part of it.
You had to get them on TV, but it's just like, I don't know.
It was a fine match, and the same thing with Sami Zayn and Solo Sikoa. That was actually a pretty good match. I liked it a lot when I watched it. But yeah, that's what it was. It was a time killer. It wasn't even that much of a story builder. I mean, it was kinda.
Well, that's what I was saying. It was just like, I get it makes sense in the story. It's like, all right, well, it still has something to do with the story, but it's just like
not much happened. Really,
yeah, it's not much of a story builder. It was just like, hey, got 4 weeks to WrestleMania, and it's funny because I actually stopped to think about this, Shake. And I'm sorry if I'm doing a lot of the talk. I'm kind of fired up right now.
You're good.
I've noticed that we used to beg for there to be more time between WrestleMania to really develop the story. And we used to be like, oh, we don't want that middle pay-per-view. Just let it be. Let them give us great story. And then as I'm sitting here now, I'm just going, man, there's a lot of time. What the hell do you do? What do you do with all this time? You really don't need all that time.
Well, if they have more storylines, they could use this time. But the problem is, we only have the same number of storylines as we got when it was still Vince in charge. And it was like nothing really kicked off until Elimination. It's like we should have started building some other storylines. I guess we kind of did. We planted the Dominic and Ray seed a little further. But that, honestly, that was it. Because, I mean, I guess you had Edge in the Judgment Day continuing.
Yeah, that's good. But I'm thinking, because I was thinking on the lines of like, all right, so say Gunther comes on and says, yes, I'll face you, Drew. What are we gonna do for the next 4 weeks? Just these guys talking trash, like hey, fighting, like what do you do? And I was like, I'm itching because I'm really praying that it's just Drew and Gunther and not a triple threat. Like I'd rather see there's a good amount of people who want. I think it's kind of 50-50. There's a lot of people who want the triple threat. A lot of people. So it's like, I mean, right now it's set up for be a 1-on-1, but I can see WWE wacky next week. Well, Drew and Sheamus both pinned their opponents at the exact same time, so now we have a triple threat.
Yeah, that'd be dumb. It's like I'm okay. I want it to be a triple threat. I get why people wouldn't, but at the same time, I could see it being a triple threat. And I just think if Gunther were able to come out and win a triple threat against Sheamus and Drew, that would just put him at this whole other stratosphere. And then,
well, that's why I think it's best that to do the 1-on-1 right now because he already did the 1-on-1 with Sheamus, so give him the 1-on-1 with Drew, and then we build this, and then now let's say SummerSlam we do a triple threat, and then some people are like, oh well, Gunther should drop it at Mania and then win at SummerSlam. I go, no. I actually just had this conversation with Eric Kuchar. today via text message, and I was like, no, don't do that. I said, don't rush that. Let Cody hold that title a little longer. If we are going to pull the trigger on Gunther, we need to pull the trigger on Gunther late in this year. Let him carry the title into WrestleMania as a big bad. I said, this is what we do. I said, this is what you would do, and it makes more sense. Have Gunther hold that title all the way to October or September, which is coincidentally around the same time as Clash at the Castle was last year. I heard they have interest of going to Ireland this year. Then have Sheamus take down Gunther in Ireland. And why is this more significant? One, it's in Ireland, and so it's Sheamus's back home, hometown, and it's full circle of a story. A year later, he finally beats him. Two, well, I guess there's 2 points to that. Three, Gunther would have beaten the Honky Tonk Man's record by that time. Will be the longest reigning IC title champion of all time. So now if he loses, he looks dominant. No matter, even if he loses, he has just become the most dominant Intercontinental Champion of all time. Now when he does win the WWE Championship, you're like, man, this dude is the most dominant IC champion of all time. And now he just went out and won the WWE Championship. We got a monster on our hands here. We got an absolute monster on our hands. You've pushed him over to the moon, so that way, say you do want to keep him as a big bad, and say you want him to hold the title, but you don't want him to come out of WrestleMania 40 with the title, he still looks like a monster. He was the most dominant Intercontinental Champion of all time. He holds the title into WrestleMania, and he's the end of the level boss for WrestleMania. Even though his title reign is only a couple of months, man still walks out of here like a fucking savage. Use my language.
Yeah, I mean Gunther is already built up as I don't gonna end anytime soon. I think putting him over Honky Tonk Man is something we discussed like ago, and I think that is something that needs to happen in order for the IC title to become legit again. Um, I think it's been far off, and you know who knows what happens with Gunther in that match. It is certainly leaning towards a Drew and Gunther because that's been the hot heat. But what I did say was going to happen happened in a sense. I was like, Drew's going to call him out, and Sheamus is going to be like, hey, yo, buddy, what the fuck are we doing here? And that did happen, but 3 other guys came out after that. And I was like, well, this is. So that's why I think it won't be a triple threat now, to be honest.
And you know what I actually do like about this 5-way match? I think we have now laid seeds down. For my eyes, it looks like we've laid seeds down for some interesting undercard matches. We have a fatal 5-way. Why a fatal 5-way? Who are the 5? Drew, Sheamus, LA Knight, Karrion Kross. Funny how Xavier Woods is just there to help Kofi, and that's it.
Yep.
I think we're gonna get Sheamus versus Karrion Kross at WrestleMania. If we don't get the triple threat, we're gonna get Sheamus and Karrion Kross. They're gonna get into a scuffle. One of them are gonna accuse the other one of costing them the match at WrestleMania and lead to a WrestleMania match. And then I think it's weird, but I think we're gonna get some variation of a LA Knight versus Kofi Kingston. I don't know, which is weird, but they've been feuding, and as you see, they're still feuding. It's kind of weird. And honestly, I don't know what I prefer better, that or LA Knight and a random partner versus. I don't know what I prefer more. They both kind of suck, and I
was gonna say those are both shitty options because like we love the New Day, but I think
they're done.
That's another one we want to see the New Day. We don't want to see the New Day wrestle anymore.
Yeah, we want to see the New Day. They're still very entertaining on the mic.
Yes.
And I love LA Knight, and I actually just want more for LA Knight.
Me too.
I don't want to see the New Day again until we get some trios tag team titles and Big E comes back. Yeah. I'm sorry. We need something fresh and new with the New Day. We need something fresh and new, and I personally think if the WWE gets trios titles, they should be the first to hold them.
I agree. I think that's the easiest choice. They're already one of the greatest tag teams of all time, with different rotations of Woods and Kofi, of Big E and Kofi.
What's funny is like the argument could be made that they're the best tag team of all time. But you know what doesn't get brought up? They never get brought up. in best faction of all time.
You're right. They don't.
It's straight, and I really do. And no slack. I want to say no shit. I'm just gonna say no shit on Xavier Woods, but it's really Xavier Woods' fault.
I think I'm sorry if you ever end up saying I love you, but he does hold that group.
Now here's the thing.
He's the only one without a world title, and I think that's says a lot.
Not a world title, Shake. He's the only one without a singles title. Now hear me out, Xavier Woods. When you do hear this eventually, you are 100% absolute why the New Day thrived in the beginning. We will give you your flowers for that. Kofi and Big E did the heavy lifting and wrestling, but you were the entertainment factor.
Right.
You were the entertainment factor, and I for some reason I think I heard that this was partially your idea to put the faction together to begin with, and your up down down like all that you have made the New Day. I truly believe that you are a key part. But I will also say, just from if we were talking about this like it was the real sport, you would say, yeah, you were the character that got them known, but you were the person that kept them from reaching stratosphere levels for in fact.
Yeah.
Because when they lost to the Wyatts, it was you being afraid of Bray Wyatt. You took the pin. When they lost to the Shield, you took the pin. It was you. It was always you were the weak link that was just getting dominated, always.
For example. But you're not wrong, and it's a good point, and I think it just amplifies the fact that we need Big E back so bad. He's working out now. I don't know if he's in ring yet, but I know he's working out. Well, yeah, he was always doing some stuff, but I think he's back to trying to get in, and it's really needed. He was like when he broke his neck, he was real hot, and he was just off his world title. He was still, fans were still really into him. I thought he could have went for an IC title easily, and I thought him and Gunther, obviously never happened, but I thought that would have been something interesting to watch. As I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'd like to see that. And then New Day versus Imperium.
I would like to see. Go ahead. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I just said that would be cool.
I would like to see a Big E title reign under Vince. I mean, sorry, no,
Trips.
We already seen that under Trips because we seen what it was under Vince, and I actually think Vince stripped Big E of all the things that made him great. He came really serious. And then he just went out there and he was losing. And part of it is because, Roman was so hot at the time, but still I don't know, but I love seeing Big E sit out there and watch the number one contenders match for the IC title with the dunking his feet in the foot bath on the couch. That was so funny. I honestly think Big E is better as champion than he is on the chase, which is very rare. Right. Very rare. Just being the champion that sits back there and goose around while people are talking, and then it's like, time to get in the ring, and he's like, now I'm going to break you. Now I'm going to break you.
Yeah. I love Big E, and I think you're right. That Intercontinental Championship run he had was funny. I loved everything about it.
I mean,
I thought if he had...
it was the Nigerian drum.
Holy fuck, that shit so bad.
I'm sorry. That's why I cut you off, because I know you hate that match, so I wanted to just throw that in there.
I hate that match so much. You couldn't have been more indirectly racist in that moment. You're making the two black guys on your roster fight in a Nigerian drum circle match for a championship. What the fuck is that? Vince saw Black Panther once and saw the scene where Killmonger and Black Panther were fighting to be king. And he's like, that needs to happen in a WWE ring. For some fucking reason. And that whole character he had, Apollo Crews has, was problematic in its right. But then the Nigerian drum circle. I don't imagine his Nigerian family was very, very happy with it. I can't imagine they enjoyed that whole part of his life.
No. Get back on topic. Yeah, no. So I think we have some things coming out of it, but we'll just back to where we said it because I thought it was going to be an LA night, and I honestly rather LA night be the host of WrestleMania than it is.
I would have rather it been Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg is going to be there. Did you see that the cool poster?
Yeah, he's on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on with WrestleMania. It's still kind of scattered. We'll see what happens. But let's talk about the best part of SmackDown, which is the opener. You could have turned the show off after that. Um, well, you know what's sad too is because like we had this match, Dominic Mysterio versus
Santos Escobar.
And Santos Escobar was very terrible. His match, he was like, I was laughing because he was like, one, you could see him coaching Dominic through the whole match, and then when he had him on the top rope, and he was like, "Is this the legacy?" And he was like, reaching for the mask, and I was like, "Stop! Why would you be reaching towards the mask? Like, I'd like get the hell off me! Like, that's not what I'm doing in this moment."
Yeah, and I didn't mind that match. I thought it was entertaining. I sat there. I was like, wow. So we came out of that match and went into that match completely different. I sat there and thought to myself, holy shit, Dominic Mysterio has so much heat. He has never made a crowd react like that during a match ever. I had never really seen him. It wasn't perfect, right? Like that spot in the corner was dumb as fuck. You on that. But there were moments where like he felt it, and I don't know if he was being coached by Santos, which is possible because Santos is a great heel, right? But there were moments where like he hit Santos and it was supposed to be a reaction, but he didn't get it, and then he turned around and played to the crowd, and then they got riled up and booed him, and then Santos got his comeback. It was nice. I thought he played the psychology and the wave of that match really well, and I thought that he played that really well and better than he had in the past. I think that was one of his better matches. Also, considering the fact that it was a singles match, we usually don't see him in that. He's usually in a tag team because I think it points to what you said, the coaching. I think Balor and Priest really help him a lot in the tag matches, and I think Santos did carry him through. But my last point on it is I like Santos Escobar a lot, and I would like to see him in the IC title picture.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I realize that those were my negative points of the match. I was gonna say I did see the heat Dominic has, and that's right. This man's got heat like no one's business. It's stupid how much heat he has. It's crazy, and he knows how to get it.
Yeah,
and he gets the psychology of being a heel better than he does than being in a ring. But he definitely gets the psychology of being a heel. Yeah, and like we said, we discussed in the past. I'm very nitpicky on.
Yeah.
I've noticed the opening segments were good, but there was just some points where I was just like, ooh, like I see what you were going for over here, and I just don't think it was well placed. And it was kind of like to me when he was reaching for the thing, I thought it was cringy. But other than that, like I said, I thought overall it's a good moment because Dominic got crazy. And then, man, Frank, can you look like any more of a bitch? Like I don't know any father in the world that wouldn't hit their son right now. And you know what's funny? To me, that doesn't make sense in the story. Dominic cut a promo like a week or two ago talking about how he's now beating up his dad because his dad used to be on the road all the time, and then when he'd come home, he would have to beat him. Yes, because whatever he did, mom would tell him. So Dominic, hey, you used to beat his ass as a child, but now he's an adult. You don't want to touch him. What the hell up here?
Yeah.
Not to mention.
I didn't like that angle either. They dropped it. They didn't bring it back up. Michael Cole actually. Dominic hasn't mentioned, but like you're right. It's like all of a sudden Ray is afraid to hit Dominic, and like man, Santos said it. He's like, I get why he doesn't hit you. I was like, bro, I don't think. I mean, yes, you do. He's your son, but like. If I threw a forearm to the back of my dad's head, don't care. I think he's winding up. My dad and I have a pretty damn good relationship. He's swinging on me if I do that. It's just like, especially in a moment like that, and I mush his face. No, it's not good. We're having a fight. It's just what it is. Like, it's building towards a match. That's what we're getting. We're getting Ray versus Dominic Mysterio. But when the hell is Ray gonna hit back? Like, what? Why? Like,
I don't actually think we're getting a one-on-one match. I think we're getting a tag match.
Priest and Dom versus Santos and Ray.
I had seen something on a live 2 weeks ago, but I also think it makes more sense because look at here. It's better for the story. As bad as everybody likes. It seems like a thrown together match, whatever. If we weren't getting that, why would Santos be so involved in this story?
I mean, that's fair.
Two, just think about it. All right, so say we're not getting that. So we went from Ray not putting his hands on his son at all to now we're going to have a full-blown match. It makes sense. We're going to fight. We're going to get it. We're going to get the match. Ray won't touch him. Santos in the ring wrestling Dominic. Ray wrestles Priest, and then eventually, at one point, just imagine the moment when Ray finally cocks back and knocks Dom on his ass. You at home is gonna go wild. I'm gonna be in the arena going, like we're gonna lose it. We're gonna lose it. The time when he finally reaches back, and it's at this point you've held back on it so long, it'd be wasted to put it on a SmackDown before WrestleMania finally hits him. And now we're like, oh, we're gonna get the match. And so the only way it would be wasted. Waste that pop. Oh, that's what in the world? I thought.
Little time limit.
Yeah, I thought that was only when you have groups. But you know what? We'll just go on and we'll come right back in when it cuts off. You just hit the same link.
All right.
It'll be easy. But anyway, it would be wasted. To me, it would be wasted to waste that pop on SmackDown because you could still play into it. You could have him finally hit him on SmackDown. And then the next match, on next day when they wrestle on WrestleMania, you have Ray trying to hit Dom and Dom trying to run from him, playing cat and mouse.
Yeah, I think we are in a weird situation. The fact that Ray hasn't gone back at him yet, and now you're right. You can't. I feel like you can't waste that pop because that first hit in the mouth is gonna go crazy, unless you do it like next week. And then we have a few weeks to build it where, Ray is, sick of it and, is trying to get after Dom. But like you said, there's, a cat and mouse, and Dom is running away. He hides behind Rhea like he normally does. But, and he keeps trying to swing on him, but he can't. And I think that would be better, right?
You know what would also be good? That we do get this. So say he does hit him. Now, we're doing the whole thing. Now he's trying, he can't get through it, but now the night of WrestleMania comes for the double down twist. Double down twist. They have the match. Ray's about to really tax that ass. Right before he goes for the killing, boom, 619 hits the finisher. Dom's actual mom gets in the ring and goes, stop, my baby. And then costs Ray the match. Dom goes over. That sounds like some shit that would happen in WWE. I don't know if it's
also that is believable, right? Because how many more WrestleManias does Ray have left? You usually go out on your back, and maybe this is Ray's way of giving Dom his mask. This is way of Dom's earning it, right? So at the end of WrestleMania, after Dom beats him, he takes his mask off. Now that's not Ray awarding it kayfabe, right? But that's Ray's way of saying, okay, you earn the mask. You can take it at Mania, and that will be you earning it, kind of thing. I'm going to put you over, and that's you earning your mask. That's a behind-the-scenes kind of thing, but, in Lucha, that's real. That's not kayfabe in Lucha. The mask is very serious. It's more than just kayfabe.
Yeah, and it makes sense in a realistic setting, too, because mom's not going to sit there and watch the dad beat the hell out of their son.
To a certain point.
I mean, well, it depends on your mom. Some moms may be afraid because they might be next. But,
Yeah, so it's it's interesting to see what happens. And listen, because Dominic doing such a good job of getting heat, we're interested in the match.
Yeah,
we are more interested, in my opinion, from a match perspective, overall, than we were last year when it was Dominic and Ray versus Logan Paul and Miz. We only cared about that match because it was Logan Paul's debut. If it was anybody else teaming with The Miz, we would not have cared about that match at all. This match, if we get Dominic and Ray, we're actually going to look forward to that.
I actually didn't look forward to that match last year either, but man, did that match still deliver, though.
So if I wasn't going, I wouldn't have been as hyped about it. But I'd never seen Ray before, so I was hyped as all hell to finally see Rey Mysterio.
Then I missed his entrance.
You missed the pop, I know. I was literally sitting there. I was like, he hasn't done that in almost 20 years. And Teddy goes, Teddy goes, and I fucking missed it.
I didn't expect him to do it. I just thought he was going to come out and run until I went to the bathroom.
I was like, he hasn't done it in like 17 years. Yeah, and I missed it. Sorry, bud.
But anyway, so let's move. We'll move on. We'll move on to. So yeah, that's what my predictions. We're going to get Cross, Sheamus. I think that match would benefit from some type of a stipulation. That match.
I think Cross needs a stipulation because of his character.
Yeah, and then I think we're going to get some LA Knight and the New Day. Something's going on there. All right. There's actually something else we have to cover in SmackDown.
Yeah.
Outside of Roman and Cody.
Yeah.
Bobby dropping Uncle Howdy like it was nobody's business.
I thought that was one of the more interesting things. So that promo between keep doing this. Cody and I almost said Coleman. Cody and Roman was, I don't even think it was that interesting. I think it was exactly what it needed to be. But wow, did I expect Bobby to plant Howdy? No, I did not. I thought Howdy was going to get over on Bobby a little bit. Not dominated because he's fucking Bobby Lashley. But I thought he was going to surprise him and maybe hit him with the Sister Abigail. But when Bobby planted him with that weird, like, power slam spine buster thing he does, that's now a signature. I was like, oh, he's ready for the smoke. And I thought that was interesting as hell because when he came out, he's like, I'm not falling for your mental games. He's like, you came out on Raw and did that muscle man dance thing. And he's like, I'll admit, I thought it was pretty funny. Good job. But you didn't get to me. I'm still Bobby fucking Lashley. And boy, did he prove he was Bobby fucking Lashley.
Yeah, to me, I was actually, so what a way to go out by Howdy. Come on, Howdy. You're supposed to be like, Howdy was supposed to be someone we were afraid of, and now he's just like, he's missing elbow drops. He's hitting his finger and goddamn weather reports. He's getting dropped by Lashley. What's going on, Howdy? That's looking like the Paul Dallas Hyde now.
Don't do it to him like that, man.
I think he would have benefited. Could have done this. I would have tweaked this segment, and we all would have went away. Everybody would have walked away looking strong. Howdy sneaks up on him, hits him, comes to the jump, gets spine bustered. Instead of crawling to the corner, Howdy should have sat up like Kane or The Undertaker.
That would have been cool.
If he sat up like Kane and The Undertaker, Bobby would have been like, oh. And then the lights went out. Now, Howdy still looks strong as hell. And so does Bobby.
Well, that's the thing. It's I don't think it made whatever, right? I don't think it made Howdy look that weak considering it's Bobby Lashley. Like, that happens to a lot of people when they get in the ring with Bobby Lashley. Like, that was run of the mill, and now I think it's going to get to a point where we're not going to see Howdy on his own anymore. I think that it's going to be a 2-on-1 at all times. I think Bray and Howdy are going to be forced to work together, and I think the mental games are gonna amplify a little bit more. And I think we're gonna see. Well, we keep seeing Bray Wyatt like run, but like there's nothing really that we've seen to be scared of except for the pitch black match. But without that black light, that unless he paints his face full on, like. I don't know. When he had the mask on, he looked pretty good last week, I thought, but I don't know.
Let me tell you, Bray looked like a serial killer when he had that mask on in the pitch black match. They put that mask on and then he was just walking. I was like, I'd be afraid. Like if I ever I'd get the hell out of there. I was like, man, he looks like a serial killer stalking his prey. Like he looks like a bad dude. And like I also don't think how he looked that week. It made how it looked that week either. I just think if he sat up, it would have made him look so much stronger, and they both would have walked away looking strong as hell. Mm-hmm. But I do like the way you put this spin on it. That from now on, it's going to be Bray and Howdy. So it's like, oh, you know what? It makes sense. Like, let's just always have it Bray and Howdy, and you don't know who's going to come for you, how they're going to come for you. Together, they're going to, together, they're unstoppable. I like that instead of just making Bray to seem unstoppable, it's those two.
Right.
And I think with that, you can squash somebody and still they look strong because it was 2-on-1.
Right. Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the point of Bray Wyatt. I think it is great because we don't run into this problem now where Bray Wyatt is this unbeatable force and then he loses. So now we could get to a point if you want Bray to lose. I don't think that's the way this is going, but if you want Bray to lose, all Bobby has to do is take out Howdy, and then it's much more even of a match. So it's very interesting to see what happens. It's genuinely one of those. I don't know what will happen. I think Bray wins because Bobby won at WrestleMania last year. Bray's been fucking buried. And I don't think losing to Howdy and Bray Wyatt does that much bad to Bobby Lashley. I think he's on his way out as it is. As long as it's an entertaining story, I think Bobby's okay with that. I think his best days are definitely far behind him, obviously. But I think this is going to be a really entertaining story. And I think Bobby is doing a good job of not playing in, but playing into the mind game. Because he says on the surface, oh, that doesn't bother me. But he gives a lot of, long looks at stuff. And he has a lot of glances and, stares and, it's not taking over, but C's are being planted in the back of his head. And I don't think he truly realized how crazy Bray was. And now he's seeing all these videos. He's like, oh, shit, that guy is kind of... I do really have to watch my back. And he was ready for it on a Friday. He showed up. He was ready for the smoke. He was like, I'm showing up, not at my show, and I'm going to let it swing. And let it swing he did. He almost speared the hell out of Uncle Howdy. And if it weren't for the lights going out, Howdy might be in half.
Before we move on from this, let's talk about how Brock Lesnar was offered this match, but turned it down, didn't want to work with Bray.
Thank you, God. And listen, as a Bray Wyatt fan, I can't say thank you enough. I don't know if this was Brock being a dick or if this was Brock realizing, our styles will not match up. This is just not going to hit the way you want it to. This is going to be Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar Part 2. But there's no streak involved. No one's going to.
Which reminds me, I went on a rant earlier this week and you didn't respond about Brock Lesnar.
I completely missed it.
I went on a rant. I'll read it. Let's see. What did I say? I think it's time Brock to leave the WWE. He doesn't care anymore. Like it feels like he's not trying.
Well, there's been reports. I don't know if you've seen them. I've seen it on Twitter that he's been telling people that he's finishing up at WWE. And boy, can you tell. And I think he realizes it too. I think it's getting to that point where The Undertaker was around his Roman Reigns match where he's like, I don't know if I can go in the ring like I could anymore. And I think Brock is learning from that because he's stepping out a little earlier.
But Brock just doesn't. Here's the difference. Taker went out there and tried. Brock just feels like he's like,
yes, I agree.
I want to be out here. I'm just taking a payday. Let's get out here. Let's do it. And it's like, bro, what are you? These matches look like shit, but I'll give it to you. They do look like a real fight.
You're Brock fucking Lesnar. The matches should be better than that.
Yeah. And so it's like, we got to the point where we want to hear your music. That's it. We just want to see you walk out. I prefer to watch him come out, F5 someone and leave. That's Brock Lesnar. That's it. That's it. I don't know, but let's move on. We can fix that. Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. So we have two different views on this. I thought a lot was said. And I thought this segment was entertaining as hell, and I think this segment was telling for Roman. Man, we we all said like we knew Roman was good right now. We knew Roman was on another level. But did he make it clear? Cody Rhodes said it. Cody goes, man, we're not even playing on the same field.
I think he meant that in a I'm
He
just trying
did.
to wrestle and you're trying to make this personal and get in my head and like all this shit.
Regardless of the way he meant it, that could have been true, but it's like he made it obvious that man. And I think it was more of like, man, I'm stepping up to Roman Reigns right now, and it's like this is where you're at. Like, I gotta get there. And can you not hear me?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. And so it's just like, man, Roman, he showed us. We knew Roman could talk, but he hasn't really shown it in a while. Roman walked out there today. Last night was like, yeah, Cody, I hear you. You're very articulate. You put out these big words that people don't know what they mean. You talk really smooth and professional. I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to show you. I ain't the same Roman Reigns who got in the ring with John Cena and forgot his lines in 2016. I'm somebody different right now. I'm on another level. I'm really on God mode. I'm about to tell you right now. All right? I learned from your dad. I learned from your dad. Now I can spit it too. And he went out there and he said some shit that would cause a fight in a bar.
Well, here's where we differ, right? Because I thought the promo was great. Up until that point where he started talking about Dusty, I thought he was great. That's where it took a step back for me. Besides where he did the full Dusty impression, which I thought absolutely fucking murdered. He did such a great job. Not with the impression itself. It was fine, but like the fact that he did it, it was good enough. I thought it was so insulting. But most of what he said is what Paul Heyman said a few weeks ago on Raw. And that's where I was like, okay, in the beginning he said something, but after that he was just basically saying the same shit Paul did. That like, oh, I'm the son your dad always wanted, and he told me I had it, and he never trained you. And if there's anything he didn't teach you, I'll teach you. Like that was kind of what Paul said. And like it was still ice cold, don't get me wrong, he did a great job, but like that to me, if he was a little more original and didn't take the your dad likes me better angle that Paul basically did the same thing not last week, weeks ago on Raw, it would have hit a lot harder to me. But before that, when he laid down the titles and he's like, you may not like this, but I'm about to do it. And then puts the titles on the mat and you see Cody like gritting his teeth. What he basically said is, I've been champ for so long, I don't give a fuck about these. This is my legacy and I'm defending it, but these don't mean that much to me. I'm Roman fucking Reigns. I'm bigger than these titles. I thought that was what was more impressive. When he laid the titles on the ground and basically said, not basically, he point blank said, you ever won that one? Pointed to the Universal. Have you even competed for that one? I was like, God damn! Because he hasn't. In this company, he hasn't. He hasn't even been around it. He had the IC title run as Dashing Cody Rhodes, but he hadn't sniffed the main title picture. And Roman Reigns said, buddy, you couldn't even polish my shoes in this company. And he's like, yeah, you did what you did over there, but here we are now.
So to me, he said what Paul said, but better to me. And it's like, in psychology we talk about it. Lead them to figure it out on their own. Don't tell it to them. Paul said your dad did. He said this. Your dad said that. This is what your dad did. Roman said, you know what your dad said? We were talking about you. You know what he said about you? Absolutely nothing. And it's like, damn. He didn't say. He never once said, I was the son your dad wished he had. He said examples, which just kind of stings more.
I thought he did say.
No.
Oh, no, Cody said that.
Cody said it. He said, your dad never mentioned you when I was around.
Yes.
Which is just, to me, there's a difference in saying, I'm the son your dad always wanted. And then you're saying, dad never even.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Bro, and then he went out of his way. He's like, maybe he did with Kevin or Becky, and like name dropping. It's like maybe when Seth was around or Kevin or Becky, but when I was there, he never mentioned you. All he talked about was me.
And like,
oh.
Well, I don't even did he even say he talked about me? He just said,
I'm pretty sure I thought he did.
He was like, earlier he said, I wish I had the full because it was really good. He was like, I love the whole. Maybe you were it. You were it.
He's like, you couldn't sell it if you wanted to because you are it.
And then after he was saying when we were talking, he never mentioned you ever. And then I love this closing line. Listen, he ain't never been here before. Whatever your dad didn't teach you, I will. And it was saying, and that, so there's implications on that, like, hey, I know your dad didn't teach you, I'll pass it on. And then they're saying, I'll be your dad. Is what he really said. And he's alluding back Boston months ago when he said, your daddy ain't here now. Got a new daddy.
Yeah.
That's me. And he just told Cody, I'm about to be your daddy again. And then I also love with that title, and I thought he could have went another way with this whole segment. When he dropped those titles, he could have went a whole other way with this segment. Because he threw the WWE title down first and no longer. Cody looked at him. I thought he was gonna say, that's why you're here, right? That's the one you want. I thought he was going to go there. He could have went with there and went in a whole nother way.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I noticed that too. And I don't want to be like, oh, I'm looking too far into this because, like, this is all scripted. Sorry. Spoiler alert. They do this shit on purpose. I think Roman putting the titles down might have been improv because it was really awkward for him to hold them. But you're right. He did put the WWE title down, and you're right. And I said this maybe a month or plus ago. The Universal title was next to Roman. The WWE title was in the background. And again, Roman held the Universal title very tight, very close. WWE title was on the ground first. Like, you don't give a fuck about it.
And then he threw it on top of the WWE. Then he threw the Universal on top.
And when you walked out, you didn't see the WWE title at all. It was completely covered. And he put them back on the ring. He purposefully carried them both in one arm when he left. I think it's going to get to a loophole. And I said this, I can't even tell you how long ago. Paul is going to figure out a way for Roman to only lose one title at WrestleMania. And Roman is going to carry the Universal only for 1,000 days. Because I don't see him carrying both. Because his record of 900 and change days is not both titles. It is only the Universal title he has held for 900 days. He only won the WWE title not even a year ago.
Yeah. No, you're good. You got a good point there. You know what's funny too? I think Roman's a really good actor right now.
Roman's awesome. And
Roman, I don't know if you've noticed, but the looks Roman's been giving when it comes out in the front, he looks like his psyche is slipping. He's losing his edge. He's becoming more and more paranoid. But then it just puts him on another level. So we realize, we see it, we're like, oh man, Roman looks like he's slipping. It's almost like, did you watch? You didn't.
Nope.
All you people watched Avatar. There was a scene where Zuko fought Azula, and normally Zuko couldn't beat Azula, but then he was about to team up with somebody. He goes, no, I got her. Something's wrong with her. She's off her game. She's slipping. That's what we're feeling for Roman. Yes. He's slipping. He's getting off his game. But then, this is either to say, I'm shutting you naysayers down, or just to show how goddamn good he is, that he's slipping. He was still able to stand in that ring and degrade Cody Rhodes like that. Make it out to be he's that much better than him.
Well, that's his defense mechanism, right? Because you saw him, like, in the ring where his facial expressions changed, where he's, like, looking concerned in a second, and then a second later, it's like he listens to what he says, and then he figures out how he's going to fuck him over immediately. Because you see the change, right? Cody will cut deep, and Roman's like, damn. And then all of a sudden, like, he's laughing, like, plotting how he's going to destroy this whole man. But when you see, Roman says so much when he says no. I think that's where he's made leaps and bounds since the beginning of his career. He says so much without saying a single word. When he left that ring, when he's not facing Cody, he's like looking down, brow furrowed, real pensive, like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Is he fucking crazy? Really thinking he can beat me? Can he beat me? Does he see something that I don't? But immediately he turns around and tries to play it cool, turns around and he's like laughing at Cody. And I'm like, that to me is someone that has fake bravado. Roman Reigns is fake confident right now. He's rolling off the fact that he's been champ for so damn long, but you see there is a lack of confidence in Roman Reigns right now. Granted, his dick is still bigger than anybody else's he pulls up next to in the trough, and he ain't shy about it, but he knows that there's something missing that he needs, and you can see it. He's nervous.
I think, who is it? Someone on one of Logan Paul's buddies said, Roman's the coolest man on the planet. And if you're actually hearing this more and more often, Bubba Ray said it not too long ago. He goes, man, Reigns is the. He goes, it takes pristine confidence to do what Roman does. Roman rolls out and sits in silence for 5 minutes and doesn't bat an eye.
I was just about to say the same thing.
And just soaks it in. It's just like, yeah, they're all. He's such a narcissist.
Yes.
He's such a narcissist, and his character he plays so well that he's sitting and he's just like, "That's right. You're gonna wait for me to speak. You need to hear."
Well, that's the thing.
Man.
When I say it was improv, the title thing, like he was fucking around with those titles for a minute, and like while he was fucking around with them, he was just staring at everybody like, yeah, I'm going to fuck around with these titles. It's going to look awkward, but you're all going to sit on the edge of your goddamn seat until I'm well and damn ready to talk.
Good shit. Good shit. I'm ready for this match at me. I'm ready. I want to see more of these guys talking. I want to see these guys butt heads. I want to see these guys swing a little bit. I want to get him run into Mania.
I don't know that we will, because I don't think Roman is that. They shook hands, first of all. That's the first time we've really seen Roman do that without there being some kind of side play. They legitimately said, okay, nut up. Best man wins. Let's go. 1-on-1. This is me and you. Because at the beginning, we glanced over this whole thing. Solo, Paul, and Jimmy all came out with Roman. Cody mentioned it, and Roman was like, get out. Everybody get out now. And Paul was like, I'm going to leave Solo just in case. Solo goes too. I was like, okay. And that's where I was like, no, he's still confident. But then as Cody started talking, and he's like, and then I went over and started a little indie show with my buddies. And then Roman like chuckled like, yeah, I'm going to give you your nod for that. Because that was impressive. And that was your run. But then Roman came back and said, but hey, sorry, chat. This is my yard now.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I don't know if it will touch, but I want to see more promos before them. I'll tell you that.
Definitely going to happen. I could see Cody having a match with Solo and Cody having a match with Jimmy leading up. I don't think Roman and Cody are going to touch till WrestleMania. It just doesn't seem like that's what they're going for in this, because
I don't mind it. I don't mind them not touching, but I got to see them face to face and talking, because they can talk.
I think they're going to they have to do a contract signing, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that Roman repeated what Paul said, and it kind of felt the same with Cody. Cody said the same thing for the last 3 weeks.
That's why. Don't know if you noticed this, chat. We didn't talk about Cody much in this segment, because you're right. He did say the same things for the past 3 weeks that he's been saying. There was a little more emotion and there was twinges to what he said, and I thought he conveyed it better than he had in the past, because it was the first time they were face to face, and I thought that was good. But yeah, I thought that was basically the same shtick he'd been running. But I think it's what the live audience wanted to hear. It got the crowd fired up like it was supposed to, so fine. But I think the emphasis was on Roman Reigns, and it should have been.
Yeah. Let's move over to Raw. Good stuff.
Not much else happened on Raw, man. Like, well, okay, one thing happened on Raw. Trish Stratus came back. And Becky Lynch and Lita are the women's tag team championships. So that story of Becky Lynch and Damage Control is not over. Trish has now been added to the mix, and I think it further deepens the the 6 women tag match, but it also makes you question, is it going to happen? Because why the hell would Beth and Lita hold the tag titles in Mania and then hold them after Mania? Because it doesn't, in a 6 women tag match, you can't have the titles on the line. And unless you do Lita and Becky versus Damage Control again. Like,
I think what we're going to end up doing is we're going to do Lita and Becky versus Dakota Kai and Io Shirai versus Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. And then we'll get a Bayley versus Trish Stratus.
Okay, you can sell me Bayley versus Trish Stratus. You could.
I mean, the only way you're going to get me to care about the other matches, you better throw a ladder into it. And I don't know how you throw a ladder into it with Lita's old ass.
You can't. There's no ladder involved. Lita ain't going up nowhere. She's barely comfortable on the top rope anymore, which is fine. She's older. It's fine. This is not me shitting on Lita right now. It's just the truth. I don't want Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler at WrestleMania. I do not want it. I would be way more here for Becky and Lita putting over Io and Dakota in a straight up women's tag match.
Ronda's on the marquee. You know, one of the marquees, you can't not have her.
You can, because you'd be doing the right thing.
Yeah, this is I'm yawning. You can sell me on a Trish and Bayley.
Yes.
You can sell me on a Trish and Bayley. I'm sorry. I mean, you know what? It doesn't make sense because Becky's a babyface, but I mean, run Lita and Becky back again. I care more about that than I would this tag match.
I think you fucked it up by giving Becky and Lita the tag titles.
I know, what a ragtag team. I mean, yeah.
If you had them
legends,
lose, but Trish get involved, but they still lose somehow, and then you wanted to roll it into Mania, and then Becky, Lita, and Trish win, but the tag titles aren't involved, I think that would be fine. But it's bad. It's a bad spot. And it's terrible because I think it only emphasizes that the women's tag titles are a joke, and it's because there's no legitimate women's tag team.
No. This is what I would have done. I would have had Bayley get involved. Becky get tired of Bayley's shit. Becky runs after whatchamacallit, which in turn after Bayley, leaves Lita there. Lita gets pinned. Then Lita's like, well, damn, what happened, Becky? She's like, I'm really sorry. And then she's like, you know what? It's all right. And then all of a sudden, we have Trish. Trish is like, I got your back. Now it's Trish and them. And Becky blows it off with Bayley. But you know what? Kudos to Bayley because, honestly, no disrespect at all. I mean, if you were given the opportunity to go into WrestleMania and have a match with Becky or Trish, who would you want to go in and have a match with? No offense to Becky at all. Becky is the man. But it's just like, Trish is a legend right now. Trish is a legend. You get to say you wrestled Trish, at WrestleMania. Eventually, there's going to come a day where Becky's in the same situation where, you can go with the current stud on the roster or you can go with the legend.
Well, see, if you avoid, which it seems like you can avoid a singles match, you can get Becky and Bayley next year. There's no reason that they can't stay away from each other and then at the Rumble there be a dust up again, especially if there's a title involved with one of them. I'd like to see that a lot. Becky versus Bayley with the title in the line at WrestleMania. I would like that a lot.
It'd be good, and I think they should run it back. Bayley's a great heel champion.
She's phenomenal. You don't even need to put champion. Bayley is a phenomenal heel, period.
Yeah. What else we got? What else did we have? Not to move on from that, but just saying, yeah, I am actually very excited. I would love to see a Trish Stratus Bayley match, but then it's just I don't care about the rest.
Right.
What else did we have on Raw?
Not much.
Well, now we know we're gonna get Edge is gonna answer the challenge probably on Monday. Which we come on, guys. You're making it predictable, but I don't care. I'm gonna watch Raw for it. We knew Finn Balor was gonna interrupt Edge's match in the title match.
Yeah.
And now we know Finn Balor's wrestling who? Johnny Gargano. Who's gonna interrupt Edge? And then we're gonna pray that Edge says those magical words.
Hell in a Cell.
And then I'm gonna go, yeah.
I think we could get the Demon in Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania.
I'd prefer it only because then I think we're gonna get a straight up match. We're gonna banger. We're gonna banger of a match. No funny shit. No funny. No working. No injury. Just straight up banger.
Well, that's why that tag match with Damien and Dominic would make more sense.
Yeah.
Because Rhea's doing her own thing, and then Finn will have his own match. Because otherwise, Priest is just jerking himself.
This all could be huge this Monday.
Oh, I mean, the GOAT showing up, man. What do you mean could be huge?
No. Hold on. Let me tell you why. The reason why I said it could be huge, it did involve him. But not only that, we could get an announcement of the Hell in a Cell with Edge. We could have John Cena show.
Could, it is.
Sorry. John Cena will show up. And then they could announce Batista going into the Hall of Fame.
Yes, because they've only announced one person.
They haven't announced anyone yet.
I thought they announced Stacy Keibler.
That I know. No, I haven't seen it anywhere.
I thought it was on Twitter.
Why would they not announce their headliner?
Because you don't want to do the biggest one first? I don't fucking...
I'm looking it up. I don't see it on Instagram, but it could have been on Twitter. Yeah. You have Batista and John Cena same night.
I think that would be huge. I don't know. They haven't done anything with Hall of Fame announcements as far as TV goes. Much I know for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they were in Washington, D.C. last night. Why didn't you just do it there? If it was going to be Dave.
I mean, there's a lot, because an announcement doesn't mean he shows up necessarily.
That's very true. I don't know. I don't know why they... I mean, like, March 4th, guys. What are we doing?
Less than a month away.
Yeah, I mean, how many people are you going to announce? How many people are you going to announce? I mean, usually you like to do one person a week. What are you going to start? 2 people in a week?
Well, one on Raw, one on SmackDown, maybe, is their plan.
Good. We'll see. But yeah, imagine. I don't think you would announce Batista going into the Hall of Fame the same day that John shows up. You'd want to just kind of spread those two apart.
I mean, yeah. It would. But listen, okay, so we talked about John showing up on Monday. I think this is a really good way to wrap this whole thing. So, there's a superstar down in NXT. Currently, the NXT champion, Braun Breaker.
Oh, I think you mentioned this last week, your prediction on how they should do it.
Did I mention that last week?
John beats Theory at
I know I texted you about it, but I don't know if I talked about it on the show.
I thought we talked about it on the show, and then I think you did talk about it on the show, and then Breaker beats John the next night on Raw. I'm pretty sure you did mention it on the show.
Yeah, anyway, well, that's all going to kick off. We'll find out if that's possible, because we should find out when John Cena comes.
I mean, if John says no, there's going to be some disappointed people. People are going to be like, why did you show up?
Well,
to say no?
Well, no, I don't mean that. I mean whether it's for the title or not.
At this point, it should be. I mean, if that was the case, you should have had Theory lose.
I agree. But, at the same time, are we going to build Theory, or is Cena going to win? I don't know.
I'd like to see Theory win.
I would, too. I think he's at a good spot where that would happen. And I still think you can have Braun Breaker come up and challenge Theory. I don't think anybody would bat a fucking eye. I think people would be really stoked about it.
I think John cut his hair for Mania and go to just hair in the front, do a super crazy fade where it's just hair here, because that spot in the back is not looking good for him.
Yeah,
there's a lot of memes online about it. Him and his jorts that don't seem to fit just right. They look a little awkward, and then the bald spot in the back. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with baldness or whatever, but like the way John has it, it's like a circle patch of hair, and it's like, ooh, John, just cut it back. Have it like he used to rock his hair like that, where it's just
right
from here. It was like here. He only had hair from here down, so I don't know why he doesn't.
I think it's a Hollywood thing. I think it makes him more presentable as an actor to have longer, like styled hair. But I agree, cut the fucking thing. Not looking great. But also he can never go bald. If he like goes full bald, I'm not gonna be that. But that's
John
way
Cena.
past the point. We don't need to get in deep to John Cena's fucking.
But then again, who would have thought we'd be sitting here rooting for an Edge with short hair?
Different than John Cena being completely bald.
Triple H, completely bald.
Yes. I just felt like that fits his persona more. I don't know. Because John Cena's like supposed to be this like clean cut all American guy. Like a bald guy doesn't. I don't know. It's weird.
John's the thing about John is he's a clean cut American guy, the rapper. He's all of it all wrapped up in one right now. So it's like
he is the everyman.
Yeah, it's the everyman, the hungry man.
Well, we got another time limit. Might as well wrap it up here. We got pretty much through everything of note, honestly.
You know what's funny is we'll wrap it up, but I remember saying that, there's a lot of options you can do with Raw, and then, there wasn't a lot going on SmackDown. SmackDown looks like we're going to utilize our people over there. So you guys on Raw, it doesn't look like you'd have some stuff for a lot of people. And I've heard Triple H is keeping the card small this year.
We got, hey, what do you mean? We have Brock Lesnar versus Omos on the Raw side. What do you mean? That's massive.
Just because of the weight limit thing and the size of the man. That's it.
I literally said, I don't know if it was today or another day to one of my friends. I was like, I can't believe we're getting Brock Lesnar versus Omos. We don't want to see Brock Lesnar anymore. And nobody wants to see Omos, period. I was like, I saw Bobby Lashley and Omos at WrestleMania last year, and I forget about that match constantly, and I was fucking there. And I remember almost every match on the card except for that one. I forget it every time.
Funny thing is, Omos lost to Bobby last year, and we were genuinely excited for it, and we were pulling for Bobby.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, after the year Omos has had, we're like, are we really supposed to expect that you're going to beat Brock Omos?
No.
No.
And then if you lose to Brock Lesnar, what does that do for you? Is that nothing? It hurts you.
And I mean, in all reality, Omos should probably win. Have you seen the former UFC champion, the Nigerian guy who was massively huge? I don't know what happened to him. Francis something. He's no longer in the UFC. I think I heard he got cut for something.
Damn.
I don't know what happened. But, this, Omos might actually be able to beat the hell out of Brock at a river.
I mean, yeah, probably. But who gives a shit? Like, wholeheartedly. Like,
I told you, if you don't slot that in at number 2, you're messing up.
And if it's not less than 10 minutes, you're fucking up.
That needs to be after a banger. That needs to be slot number 2 or the match after the mid-card match that gets everybody back on their feet.
Right.
It needs that match needs to be slotted after slot.
You mean exactly where Bobby Lashley and Omos was on night 2 last year?
What? Have to break the match that everybody's getting their emotions from the last good match we had.
I don't remember what match it followed. It was either the women's tag or Sami Zayn and Knoxville. I can't remember which one it followed, but it was definitely a good spot for it. That four-way women's tag at WrestleMania, I think, is very underrated. I enjoyed that match a lot.
You know what's funny is they almost always hit those four-way women's. We've seen it a few times, and they almost always hit, which is funny because most multi-woman matches are a clusterfuck. Usually messy. I don't know why. It's nothing against women, but it's usually kind of messy.
Money in the Bank almost is never a banger, but the fatal 4-way tag matches are almost always bangers.
They're always hit. They hit really good. I don't know why, but they're because you got world class women in their wrestling, and they just communicate better in tag matches probably than they do. Because you have at the end of the day, it's a fatal 4-way with some 4 people on the outside. At the end of the day, it's a fatal 4-way compared to women just trying to make something work in a ladder match.
Right.
So
yeah, that was. Why. I mean, multi-women matches haven't been great.
And then actually look at who's been in them. Usually it's always Sasha, Zoe, Sasha, and Bailey's been in them.
Charlotte usually.
Charlotte, who was it? Beth Phoenix has been in a couple of them. It's just like you have legitimate studs in there who can really coordinate the match really well.
Yeah. But yeah, is there anything else you wanted to get into?
Oh man. So we'll end on this. Tie back to Bray Wyatt. I must have watched that segment, that Muscle Man dance segment, like 7 times. I don't know why, but that shit is just like I don't even like laugh like I'm just like I just like watching it. I don't know what it is. I like watching it.
It was good. It was very creative, and I think like the fact that you saw Bray was the one like working the whole thing and like orchestrated it all. It was cool.
Let that backbone slip.
So he's so weird, and that was one of those things that was weird, but it did really hit. And like you said it when you sent it in, and you said you watched it like 7 times, and you're like I think it's just so funny, but in a good way. And I was like, I think that's what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be funny and try to like disarm Bobby Lashley a little.
It's like Bray's like, yeah, Bob, you keep being serious all you want. I'm gonna be over here being my good old self. Like it's almost like, it's almost like, you gotta be as serious as you want. You don't know how much trouble you're really in, buddy. I'm gonna keep playing my little games with you. Like I'm not taking you seriously one bit. You're in a lot of trouble.
Crazier than you fucking think I am.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like the Joker. He's almost like the Joker.
And I think he's allowed more creative freedom, and I think you're seeing that because we're not seeing the usual Bray Wyatt pitfalls. I think it's being dragged out, but very purposefully, and I think we're getting breadcrumbs along the way, and I think it's good. So.
But guys, that's all we got for today. I think this was awesome. A great conversation. Next week, let's run down our WrestleMania predictions, and March Madness is coming up, right? Shake, we're going to do a March Madness with theme songs and entrances.
Yes.
Let's talk about the qualifying. Who qualifies in for that next week? Talk about predictions and who qualifies into those tournaments like that.
Yeah, I'll try to find an empty like 64 bracket and like try to fill it out with like my own text and shit. See if we can do that. That'd be lit, and try to get it in.
Sounds good. Thanks for tuning in with us, this week. It's been a blast as always.
Peace.